I'm shaking and vibing.
Hey, welcome to Frisky Biscuits. We are rip and raring to go. I'm Dr. G, and this is my cohort.
I'm Lisa.
And we have information for you that's very vital for your motorhome enjoyment and many other things going on out there in the world that we think are funny, interesting, and most of all, kind of engaging. So welcome to Frisky Biscuit. We'd really appreciate you pushing the like button, whether you like us or not. And also, subscribe. We have a YouTube channel. We also have a website. We'll talk about those here pretty soon. But let's get started, and let's talk about some interesting stuff that Lisa has scared out of the woodwork this week.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. There's some things going on that a lot of you don't even know about. So...
Well, let's talk about our journey this week. We went out on the road this week, and it is the middle of summer now. So if you haven't been out on the road yet, you're way behind. It's time to get out there and do it. And if you're a commuter just driving around, enjoy your time out on the road. We saw our first RVing this week. I'm sure you know the RVing, the new truck that is out that Amazon has interest in. And it was very cool. It was kind of weird, though. The lights on the front of the truck.
It was the strangest looking thing. Like the lights go up and down. You know, it's kind of cool, but it's kind of not. It looks kind of geeky, I think.
Yeah, I was surprised that...
If you're a real truck driver and you drive that, you're not going to be considered a real truck driver. You're going to be... It's kind of like camping and glamping, you know?
Yeah. You know what's interesting, though, is I looked them up on the website, and I started reading a little bit about the RVing, and in 2025, that's 3 years from now, so we'll see what happens, 2.5 years, 3 years, is they are supposed to be putting out the very first electric off-road motorhome. It's supposed to have a kitchen, you'll be able to take the seats and turn them into beds, and it will have quite the, 1,200 HP, 1,200 pounds, and all these batteries. They have all these statistics, yet they haven't really concreted all the designs and given it out to the world. So we'll see what happens. If that's the case, it could be your very first off-road vehicle that's electric that is from a new major car company.
You know, the big thing about that, though, is that, man, unless you can get about 300 to 500 miles out of one of those things, especially RVing, I would think that is just not going to be that big a deal.
Well, that's what the RVers are saying, is we'll look at this. We're interested in it. We want to go that way. However, you got to give us at least 500 miles. If you can't go 500 miles, we're not interested, because we're not just a commuter car where we can go to our house and charge up or go to work and charge up. We're out on the road. We're leaving and going somewhere, and we don't want to run out of electricity.
Well, and we get into places where, we might not be able to plug in, and you got to get over the hills. You got to get to the next town where there may be power to power up.
Well, and if they would add to the RVing some solar capabilities or some lithium battery extended capabilities, that may be the way to go.
Yeah. And it's going to be cheap.
Yeah. What's cheap?
What's that pickup cost? $100,000 or something like that? Or?
Yeah. That's a good question. I know it's at least $100,000. I do not know. I don't know the exact on that.
Well, you missed that on your research.
And I don't have my phone to Google. The other thing we saw on the road that was really cool is we saw a lot of triples. You usually see trucks with triples, and here we're in Idaho this week. That's where we went out on the road. So in Idaho, you can actually tow 75 feet, 65 miles an hour. That's here in the state. However, if you're going to tow, you got your motorhome, you've got your boat, you've got your razor, that's triples, right? 3 things is you're driving one and you're towing 2 others, basically. If you're going to do that, you better know what state you're going in.
If you're going to do that, you better be good.
I know. I haven't ever backed that up.
I'm thinking of these guys with a motorhome, a trailer, and a boat going into a gas station getting trapped. And that happens all the time. So,
yeah, we talked to a guy with Class A that kept getting trapped and turned his in and got a smaller one.
He bought a smaller motorhome because he kept going into service stations, couldn't get out.
Yeah. I thought what I'd do is I'd read through the states, because you got to know what state you're in to know if it's legal or not. There's one state that have special requirements, that's Michigan. But Michigan, They have their own world anyway.
That's Michigan.
That's Michigan. These states, you can triple tow. If you know what you're doing, you can triple tow. Just check the state requirements for how fast you can go. Like Indiana, you can go only 60 miles an hour. Idaho, 65. So these states allow triple towing. It's Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Hawaii, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Utah, Vermont, and
just about everybody.
Wyoming. You'd think so. I would think so, but it's not. These are all the ones that you can't tow.
Oh, you can't.
Triples. No, the ones I just read, you can tow triples. So I feel like I'm on a talk show or something.
I'm really surprised that in California they let you, because California's so overregulated on everything else. They got rid of generators.
Yeah, do not tell your governor.
So I'm waiting for them to get rid of RVs, because they're not politically correct or something.
Well, you think of all the goods that are coming out of California, out of the ports, so they can tow. And, up to now, the triples were mostly the big freight liners that you saw. However, now you're seeing the RVs and the travel industry doing the triples. So these are states that are not permitted. So if you're towing a triple, do not go through these states. Alabama, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Oklahoma, Oregon, Rhode Island, Texas, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin.
Now that's interesting, because in Nevada, we see the big trucks with triples all the time.
Yep.
But what you're saying is the campers cannot pull a triple.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I'm sure if
I think a lot of campers out there I see probably shouldn't even pull a one.
I know. And the thing that surprised me was Texas. It's so big and so vast. I would think you'd be able to pull triples.
Yeah.
However, I think when I started looking this, I think part of it is the weather. You've got some winds in some of those states. Like the states that are in those windy states tend to not be able to pull triples. And also, I think the population of vehicles on the road. Like if you look at New York and New Jersey, maybe not New Hampshire, but some of the other states, Rhode Island, there's a lot of populace on the road. So to pull a triple, when we're driving out there, you can see the winds do hit those. I mean, they're just swaying.
Baby. It does, man. I tell you, you get triples on there, that's a whole new little set of dynamics and geometry.
Yes.
Man, I tell you, we've seen, as Lisa and I have been out there driving in our rig, and where we pull nothing, we have seen people that are just a hair's breadth of being out of control and having a train wreck. Mm-hmm. And they just not paying attention. They're passing when they shouldn't be with the truck and wind. So we just got to really be careful out there, because if we all don't pay attention to that, watch our weights, our tire pressures, and keep us off the accident list, there's going to be some serious regulations coming down on qualifications to drive these motorhomes. You're going to have a special license. And right now you only have to, with a Class A, I think it's over 44 feet. So something like that. But safety is going to be the thing. And if people are negligent and not pushing the limits and start having accidents, there's going to be some serious changes on who can drive these and who can't and who can be licensed for them. I can just see that coming, especially in California, because they love regulations in California.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually, especially in California and states like that you're going to have to go through and check your weight with the truckers, especially if you're triples or you're a heavier axle. I bet you over a certain length, they're going to require that eventually. We went through that on another episode, that some states do have that requirement, but they don't enforce it. So I do see that coming in the future. So there's no excuse to get out there. If you've got to pull your home, your dog kennel, your everything with you, you can, especially if you're in a state that allows the triples. So there's no excuses. There's only solutions. And that was one of the things I thought we'd talk about today is I did talk to somebody this week that did have excuses for not going.
Oh, man.
So, to me, excuses are mediocrity. Do you want mediocrity in your life? I don't. I want to be able to get out there. If you're going to say, someday I'll do it, someday I'll go out and travel, someday I'll go to Europe, someday isn't going to come. Usually it's a big change.
That little, there's a podcast, or it's actually a YouTube channel. It's called Today is Our Someday, or
Finding
something like
Our
that.
Someday.
Finding Our Someday. There are some kids you can watch. They have family taking them on the road. A lot of fun to watch. They have a pullable and nice people, and they love donuts.
Yeah,
I love them because they love donuts.
I know. And they had a tragedy, I believe. The story is they had a tragedy and they decided, you know what? It is our someday. Let's go and let's go do it. So, your choices, whatever they are going to spill forward for you. So choose what your someday is. Choose to take the ball and run with it.
It's really easy to just put stuff off. I've done that myself, and I'm guilty of that. And what we're doing now is kind of a product of me saying, now's the time. I have a shorter runway than a lot of people just because of age. And, if you don't get her done, it's not going to get done. But right now, especially with camping and the opportunities that are out there for motorhoming and some of the bargains that are coming up for buying this equipment, you really got to look at it. If you thought about doing it all your life and you've always wanted to, today's the someday. Procrastination. One of my good friends, Wayne Dyer, who passed a few years ago, wrote a complete book on excuses no more. And we all have excuses. We all have reasons not to do stuff, and it's usually legit, but we have to override that. We have to get on the other side of it.
Yeah, and act. When you act, the acting of it builds your confidence. You can do it in a small way. I mean, you can just go on a longer road trip than you're used to doing. So just go ahead and act. And, it's those small goals that build the confidence along the way. And remember, there are things and problems that are going to happen. You just have to expect them.
You can count, that's life.
However, the problems are usually turned into either the fun or the learning experience or something magical. A lot of times the problems are the things that you come off and say, God, I learned from that. Or I have a great story because this problem came up. And, a lot of people don't go to is because they're blaming others for all of this.
Yeah.
And they do the blame
Somebody
game.
else's fault.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the blame game does not work.
One of the biggest excuses I hear is it costs too much or those machines are expensive. You damn rights they are. And they're expensive to maintain, but so is a car. And so is having a life at the end when you're sitting on the doorstep and you're upset because you wish you would have done some things. That's expensive because there's no way to recover that. Now is the time, no matter what your age. We have people that we know that are putting it off. And tick-tock, life goes by, and none of us know when we're going to expire. And you just never know. So if you want to do these kinds of things, whether it's learn how to fly an airplane, whether it's motorhoming, whether it's camping with your kids or going to an amusement park you've always wanted to go to, get it done. Get out there and do it.
Well, and what you just said, the excuse of not having the funds, if you put $25 a week away, in 9 months, you'll have $1,000. So, all right, $100 a month. $100 a month, so in 10 months,
Lisa is a
you'll have
genius.
$1,000.
But when it comes to counting,
my dad was a math professor, so I didn't have to have it. Anyway, $25 a week, that's not a lot of money. You can cut back and do that. And $1,000 is a good chunk of money to go somewhere. Even if it's just to get in your car, you can borrow a sleeping bag and sleep in your car. You can borrow a tent. You can do something. People say, oh, I have all these student loans. I'm going to wait till I pay off my loans. Well, you're going to wait and wait and wait. You can do both, right? You can put a little bit away for yourself and your fun, and you can pay things off too. So I just want to really encourage you. And, some people say, oh, I don't have anybody to travel with. There's plenty of places to go that are hostels, or like Mexico, you can get really cheap flights. They include all your food and
Everything.
everything's included. So you know exactly, except for your tipping, what you're going to spend. You know, and people say, oh, maybe next year. Well, next year never comes. So it's like making a plan. Like we talked to those people last week, they made a plan. It took them 3 years to save the money. And now they took 5-6 months off and they're walking from Canada to Mexico. So they're doing their dream. So I would say, put it in your channel, put it in your focus of where you want to go. You're not too young, you're not too old. You can find the money if you really want to do it. So I just, I know I'm beating a drum here. I just want to say excuses get you nowhere.
I know. The thing of it is, though, because you've been in the travel business, how many times have you heard people say, well, I want to go to Europe, but I want to do this, but. And they always have this but excuse that it's not money, it's not time, and that but is going to get in the way of really having a good life. So,
well, and one of the saddest things I saw in my travel career is I was a guide for a big company out of Europe, and I guided through the U.S. and Canada and Caribbean, and some of those were bus tours, some were tours on planes or boats or trains, and I remember this one couple. Many couples actually, but this one in particular that waited and waited. They were in their late 80s. They had saved their money for this one trip, and they really struggled. They could barely get out of their seats. They could hardly get on and off the bus. They always had to have handicap. They kept the group from really motivating and moving on because they were so slow. And my heart just went out to them because this was their dream trip. Yet they didn't have the facilities to make it all happen.
That all sounds like me.
Start young. Yeah, but you've traveled.
I hardly get around.
You're doing it though. I mean, you're doing it. You're driving. You're getting out there. You may not be able to go as much. However, you find solutions. We have these little Swagtron bikes. So instead of walking long distances, we get on our little bikes and go.
They are a kick.
So it's solutions, not excuses.
Those little Swagtron, we put a picture of in our last podcast, but the funny thing about those is just the look people give you when you're riding it. They can't believe you have enough courage to actually be seen on it.
I know. If you want to see a picture, you can go to our website. It's got Gary on the little Swagtron. It's called frisky-biscuit.com. And if you scroll down, you'll see some pictures of us, and he's sitting on one of the little Swagtrons.
And that's all the bigger they are, but I tell you what, they are badass.
And didn't they get the #1 bike?
They got the best electric bike of the year.
And they're not really even a bike.
They're not really a bike, but boy, I tell you what, they are tough. We've taken them everywhere, in the dirt, the sand, the water. We put them on the back of the motorhome in the middle of rainstorms, and they're electric, and they just keep running. They're amazing. And they're hard to get. So if you go out there and start looking for them, you're going to get frustrated because we were going to buy more of them and couldn't get them. So,
well, Swagtron.com, they do have some in stock right now. So if you're interested, they're really easy to bring with you. You can just put them in your car. They flip down and fold up. I wouldn't recommend that, though. If you can put them in your car just so they are, it's way better. They don't scratch. They don't get all messed up.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a comment. You read a comment, and I can't remember where it was, of somebody that was connecting with us on the podcast here that was saying that they love this podcast because we're authentic and real.
Yes. That was on, I believe, Apple Podcast.
That was one of the things we were worried about, that we were probably too real and too authentic. Because what you see here is what you get. If you turn off the cameras and watch us and follow us around during the day, this is us. Yeah,
and we are going to be going to some places that will let you know in advance so you can meet up with us if you want to.
Yes, that's true.
We're going to a really special place this week. It's one of our favorite places, and we're going to do our podcast from there, and we're going to do our best to interview people that are there. It's at a beautiful lodge at a lake. gone for the last 2 years. We've kept it our secret, although the secret's out of the box.
Way out of the box.
Way out of the box. However, we'll show you how cool it is because there's different types of places for different types of people. For us, we like to boondock by water with mountains. There's one new place that is really cool. If you're a parrot head,
Oh, that's right.
if you love Jimmy Buffett, he's expanding his brand to RV parks. You know, you remember Jimmy Buffett, or you may not. Those of you that are young that do not remember him, he came out in 1977 with his hit Margaritaville on latitudes, changes, and attitudes. He's had 30 top albums. He's worth $600 million, and he's really a smart businessman. He took his money and he put it into a few restaurants, hotels, casinos, resorts, retail stores, which did really well. He even had a cruise line because he's from Florida, right? He's from the South, so it's warm. He had a senior living community that are still working, and he also licensed a bunch of products on his Margaritaville line. So he is putting together, he's already put together actually, Camp Margaritaville RV resorts. And it's about sitting around the campfire, drinking your favorite concoctions.
These things sound really cool.
Yeah,
you know?
There's one that was put together in Georgia, Lake Lanier, in 2019. One in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, 2021. And the newest one just opened in Auburndale, Florida, which is about an hour southwest of Orlando. And they're these theme parks, so they only cost about $70 a night.
But it's basically a campsite.
Yeah. Well, it's not only a campsite. The ones that have been put together, they have a lake. They have private tiki huts. There's luxurious pools. There's tiki bars, water slides, putting courses. There's dog parks, entertainment stages for entertainment to come in. They have all kinds of playgrounds and scheduled activities for $70 a night. I mean, that really is a bargain. I know we've paid even more
At a KOA.
at a KOA. Yeah. So
that's pretty amazing in the price. But what he's doing is, I think you're going to see a trend of a lot of companies doing this because there are so many people that bought campers and motorhomes and are traveling now, finally broke loose of being the ball and chains around the house, and they got their kids and they're traveling. These kinds of things we're going to see creeping up a lot. There's another couple that's kind of done the same thing on a smaller scale, just with a campsite. They've got this beautiful campsite they bought a year ago. What's called Thunder Canyon down in Arkansas?
No, it's in Alabama.
Yeah. And they built this, bought an old campsite, built it up, and it is stunningly gorgeous. If you're a camper and you're there in Alabama, boy, check out Thunder Canyon. We're going to endure. We've never been there.
It's The Odd Couple. That's the name of their
RV Odd
YouTube channel, The RV Odd Couple. And
Nice
they
people.
are really nice. They've been around a long time. They're very smart. They actually have a free program for any of you guys that are new to RVing. They really help you a lot with all the new things to learn along the line. And they're really about community. So Thunder Canyon may be a spot you want to go to. And, check out the Margaritavilles too. His projection is in, the next 5 years to have 50 of them. 50. Right now they're looking at 5 in the next year, so they've got 3 up and running already. So that might be a fun place to go.
I can't think of a better way to spend $600 million than to build those. Good job,
right.
Jimmy. Good job.
Yeah, we love it. We haven't been there yet, but if you go, let us know. You can either put it on our YouTube channel and give us a comment, or you can email us through our website, frisky-biscuit.com.
Very good. So I'm not sure where you want to go from here. We've got an interview with Andrew Zinner.
Yeah, let's talk to
And,
Andrew.
He's a cool guy, and I know you want to do that today or put that off for another week because you got a lot of material there. So
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much up on our material, so I think we ought to talk to Andrew. Andrew was a gentleman that he contacted us actually. No, we contacted him. Sorry. We have so many interviews running right now, and we have a lot coming up in the
People
next
actually
couple
like
of weeks.
us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they actually want to talk to us.
I know, and we just got 4,000 downloads. So this thing is really starting to take off. Anybody wants to do a
Man, we
sponsorship?
appreciate it.
We have a couple open right now. Let us know, and we'll contact you.
We just want you to know we do appreciate it too. All you that are listening and downloading and paying attention to us, all our nonsense. We really appreciate it. We know that there are so many choices. Oh my God, there's so much noise out there on podcasts and TV and cable and news that just to spend a half hour or an hour listening to us, we really appreciate it.
Yeah,
And we're willing to reward that with a $1 million check to any of you that can prove that you've listened to every one of our shows. Just kidding. Well,
we may not have funds behind the check, but we'll send you the check.
Yeah, we'll send you the check. No money in there, but we are authentic. Yeah.
Well, Andrew is one of those authentic people too. I was really impressed with this interview and talking to him.
Cool guy.
Yeah. So with further ado, we might as well just jump into it. I'm not even going to give you any details because he's so interesting. Welcome to Frisky Biscuit. Today we have Andrew Zimmer with us that has an incredible background of leaving a career, just deciding he didn't want to do it at all, and moving on to something completely new while balancing a great life out. So welcome to our show today, Andrew.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today.
You bet. Well, tell us a little bit about this career that was amazing that you had, and then you decided one day, I don't want to do this anymore, and transitioned over into helping your wife in her law firm.
Absolutely. So yeah, I go back. I went to school for electrical engineering. I felt like that was a great path for the person who enjoyed physics and math and solving problems. I got that degree. I went to Northrop Grumman, so I got into defense work. I definitely liked it. I loved the mission. I loved what we were supporting. I was in like these intelligence gathering platforms, basically satellites to spy on adversaries, and got to help develop that, work with really smart people. And I feel like I was at that point, I had this kind of like I was on this path of like, that's what everybody wants, right? They want the good corporate job, nice benefits, healthcare, 401k, some time off, good pay. And so I went from there to then a startup that was really growing. At the time, it was called PKMJ here in the Pittsburgh area. They got bought by Rolls-Royce, and we did nuclear work there. And so, again, I kind of went, the things I didn't love about Northrop, I said, maybe I like better here. It had a different environment. You got to know everybody because there were only about 100 of us at the time total versus Northrop Grumman. I think there was 10,000 people at like my campus. And then from there, I went to one more defense contractor in the Pittsburgh area doing reactors for the Navy and for like submarines and aircraft carriers. And this whole time, I just did not love every day. Right? I liked a lot of what I did. I liked the people, but it was just not like every time I would look in the mirror and kind of go, when am I going to make a change? When am I going to kind of shift gears? It was always this, like I was looking forward to a point in time that was not current. And as Tracy started her law firm and transitioned from working for other people to then starting up Zimmer Law Firm, I just got kind of involved and was just trying to help with where my background allowed. And quickly we enjoyed working together. I was having way more fun. I was looking forward to coming home, hanging out with the time. We had just our daughter, hanging out with her, putting her to bed, and then working for the law firm all night long and on the weekends. And, you kind of start doing this, man, I'm enjoying the second job more than the first job. Is there a way we could grow it and I could come in full time? And so we started looking at projections and when that might be and realized, in a couple of years, we could probably do it. 3-4 years, this is going to line up. This will be great. You fast forward 8 months after we started the business and Tracy said, this thing's only going to grow if you come over full time. How do you feel about leaving the corporate world and making the switch? I thought about it and went, that's going to be the right move. Let's do it. And so, put a 6-week notice in, shook hands with everybody, in the engineering world and said, I'm changing careers. I'm not coming back. And, joined up with her at the law firm and it has just exploded. Since then we're having a lot of fun and that's kind of the story.
That is such a great story that there's so many people out there that are in that precipice where the paycheck's coming in, they feel very comfortable with it, yet there's something inside of them that says, no, I'm not being totally fulfilled.
what do you think was the straw that broke the camel's back, that you just said, you weren't quite ready. You said you had a 3-year projection, but then there had to be some moment that you were like, okay, let's do it. Do you think it was the fun factor, that it was more enjoyable, weighing the two jobs out?
I think that was the first one. Was I was actually able to now shine a spotlight on that what if. I think most people kind of go, I'm not fulfilled, but I don't know what would fulfill me. I was actually being able to stare it in the face and go, I'm not putting as much time and effort into that as I am the thing I don't really love. So I think that was kind of the first part of it. And then the second one was, you start looking at it financially, and you start looking at, if I can get more invested, how much more growth can we have? And we kind of got to this point where, Tracy really said, like, you either need to come in or I need to hire your replacement, because I needed you all day long to free me up to grow this, I think, to hit those numbers that we talked about, to have you come over. So we had to take this leap of faith where we weren't there yet, but that was the only way we knew we could bridge the gap to go to where we wanted to be. And so that is scary. It's not like it was just money was raining in. It was the easiest decision ever. It was probably the most horrifying thing I've ever had to do, was go, I'm willingly taking a huge hit for long-term gain to have fulfillment, enjoy what I do, financially be a better place, have more time, and went, you know what, let's do it. What my worst case was going back to something I didn't love. It wasn't being like destitute. It was just going back or having to pivot. So we went, let's just do it.
And you haven't looked back, have you? I mean, you're like, yes. This is
never. A couple of times. Every once in a while, somebody that I worked with, or like somebody from college, now they're hiring managers, and someone will say, hey, is there any way, I could get you to come work for me or into this team, or we're hiring. I usually say, I've got a long list of engineers that are talented that might jump ship, but I am happily not going to be one of them. As much as I'd love working with you, and that sounds like a great project, it's just not what I do anymore.
Nice. And you said in your bio that you actually help people transition over to, that you help them, I love this, become wildly successful. And, I use myself in a way. I've had several careers. I've been in the travel industry. I owned a big real estate company. And I feel like I was successful, yet not wildly successful. Is there anything that you see in people, or a formula that you've put together that you can share with myself and our audience of what that wildly successful portion becomes?
Yeah, I think a huge piece is getting rid of self-limiting beliefs. And for the longest time, I saw other people achieve really huge things and went, there's something different about us. I can't do that. I can do some really good things, but I can't do those great things, in my opinion, how you kind of, relatively stack them in. And I just felt different. And I think in the past couple of years, I've really learned and understood that our mindset and then the amount of work we're willing to put in are really the only two limiting factors. There's only so many hours in a day. You can get more efficient, but at some point you say, you know what, I do want to come home and hang out with my kids. So I understand now there's a limiter in the amount of work. Mindset is the big one, though, that you have to open that up and understand I can do anything, and I really am capable. I'm smart enough. I can learn it. I can partner with the right people. I can be just as good as them, if not better, work with the right mentors. And I think when I adopted that mindset and have helped others, that's when you go, no, do you want to 10x your business, 100x your business? Do you want to get back 20 hours a week of free time? What is it that you want? We can actually design and make that happen. Someone else telling you, or that like voice inside your head saying, no, you can't. That's just mindset playing games and self-doubt and limiting. So as you get people to break free of that, that's where I feel like you go from success to wild success.
I love that, because you're saying that, if I'm correct, is by helping other people, you're also seeing that in yourself.
Absolutely. And I think about it, again, it's from a measurable standpoint. We had always said, a law firm, Tracy, I can remember Tracy coming to me going, I met an attorney. She does $1 million a year in revenue. Someday I hope to be there. We did it in 4 years, and now we're trying to get to 10 million, and then I know from there, we're going to go, how can we get to 50 and to 100? And people go, you can't be a little law firm and do $50 million a year. And I go, well, we're going to find out, because I'm not going to limit and go, you can be capped here at $200,000 of revenue a year. I look at it and go, take the shackles off, develop a plan. How do you do it? Put the work in, and let's see where we really go. And I feel like when I help people do that and stop saying, you know what, I'm I'm a realtor and I'm doing, I take home $150,000 a year. I want to get bigger. Well, like, let's change your mindset to understand you really can. What's it going to take to get there? But like, take all of that limiting belief away when other people tell you it can't be done. I only listen to people that say it can't be done, that they're like way better than me. They've accomplished more, and they're going, no, like, you're going down the wrong path. Pivot to here and you can get it done. But when someone's not doing what I'm doing, saying it can't be done, like, why would we ever listen to that? Like, that's the worst advice ever, is listening to people who have never tried, never accomplished, never done anything. If someone who's done it, build a law firm to $50 million and says, this is where you're going to get tricky, this is what's going to get hard, I'm going to listen. But to the guy who's barely making it happen, like, I block that noise out, I ignore it, and I'm focused on a different path. And that's where I try to help people. That's where you get your success.
Oh my gosh, that is such great advice. It's the people we hang out with. And I love the fact that you said $1 million, let's see 10 million, let's see 50 million. And you also are quite the RVer and take the time off. Tell us a little bit about how you balance that out, because you're working a lot of hours. You have 2 children that are very young, 3 and 6, if I remember. So you still have a whole household that you're running, along with able to take time off.
I think it's really important for us. We didn't build this and have it explode up so that we could work more and be prisoners to our own business. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs create their business as a way to escape something they didn't like and then just get trapped by something else. And so we've been very cognizant that, we don't want to create Zimmer Law Firm to just be a different prison from where we used to be. And for us, a big way out of that mindset is going out, having fun, traveling, spending a lot of time with the kids. They're only little for a little while. And so being around them to just play the silly games, play hide and seek, make tuck-in time fun, and going away. And what we found was that as a family, we love RVing, we love camping, we love just being outside and playing with the Tonka trucks on the gravel at the campsites and making campfires and doing s'mores and seeing new towns. And it's a way to just force us to travel. We've never been like anti-travel, but before we got the camper, it was just, I don't know, we'd make a big trip to Disney or a big kind of family vacation, but we didn't do a lot of weekends away or like long weekends. And with the RV, it's just, let's go away. Let's take Thursday, Friday off and, head out Wednesday night or Thursday morning. And so we do it a lot.
So you completely shut the door when you leave your law firm and you don't take it with you. You don't take your cell phone or your computers or any of your work with you. You have 2 days of family time. Is that right?
Very minimal. Tying back with the firm, we definitely, just you've been out, like, there's not always great internet places. It's getting better. So we understand that we cannot bank on working. The intent is to not work. So we're there as an asset, then back to the team on, if they have a 2-minute question that's going to keep them productive all day, that's 2 minutes of my time really well spent. But we try to then move into this space on what can I get done in 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of work on each of those days and really being done. We just took 11 days down to the Smoky Mountains. Tracy and I worked probably on average about 15 or 20 minutes a day. Maybe a day it was an hour, the next day not at all, the next day 10 minutes. And so we tried to average it to, if I could take a phone call or two to keep some things moving, the rest of the team handle everything, that was a big win for us. And that let us get out and go enjoy family and make some new memories with really minimal time with work.
And what's been your biggest learning curve with your RV?
Work related or just like the RV side period?
The RV side, it sounds like you're really well balanced in your work and playtime relations. But those people, our audience, are commuters or RVers, and there's always a few challenges that come up along the line with your RV and with that travel. And has there been one thing that you've learned that you really put into play that could help, people along the way?
Yeah, so we tow, right? So we have a fifth wheel. We had a travel trailer. We moved to a fifth wheel. I feel like having a really good tow vehicle and kind of investing in good hitches, good equipment, knowing what you're doing, getting comfortable, helps you kind of rack up some miles, but being realistic. We've got 2 kids, 2 dogs in the car, plus myself and Tracy all up in the truck. So we try to be realistic how much ground we can cover, what we're going to do, where we're going, and trying to have fun. Like, it's not, I don't think, super stressful. We're going to knock out this 1,500 miles in 2 days and just push everybody to get there. We just say, what's fun? Where can we be in 3, 4, 5 hours? Or if it's a longer trip, can we do 2 5-hour days? So we don't cover some of the ground that like the real road warriors do, but for us, it's the balance of when there's a 3-year-old who's learning to be like potty trained. We don't want to be aggravated on trying to stop every hour to help him and things like that. So it's just that, well, let's just build that in. And so I think trying to be like super flexible, understanding, and just kind of rolling with it is probably one of the best parts about camping, is just kind of a bit of a laissez-faire, like let's just sort of go with the flow, roll punches, and have some fun.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Because there's always something that comes up that says pivot. This isn't working this direction. Let's pivot into this direction. And to sum it up, I
Definitely.
have a brother that doesn't care for his job, and he's been in it for years and years. And same as yourself, is a very high-level corporate military type of job that he's really ready to change over, retire, go into something else. And he's been saying it for years and years and years. Is there any advice that you could give to somebody like that says, stop, change over, even though you've done this for 30 years and it's been your habit, it's been your mindset, there's something else on the other side that's even better? Is there any piece of advice that you could give somebody that's a commuter like that wants to go RVing, that wants to change over and blend into possibly a new career, possibly just retiring, but it's that final piece that says, no, I can't do this anymore?
Yeah, I think it's finding what it is that you want, and we can also capture that in what I don't want. And I think so many people say, I must have this perfect plan, figure it all out, and then I'm going to think about taking step one. I'm much bigger on start to get that framework, start to understand that, you're heading north and you need to head east. Well, let's start ticking it east. It doesn't mean we've got it all perfectly mapped out, understand the exact route to our destination, but we know the path we're on is no longer the right path. So I try to help people take that first step in the different direction, right? It is going to be a marathon, but how do we get in, how do we finish that marathon? By, showing up to the race, by then taking the first step into the race. And, at that point, we'll get into mile 1 and 2 and 5 and 10. We'll get going, and that part of it gets a little bit easier. But if you never show up or never take the first step because you want to map it all out, and what would I do on the eighth step, 8,021, you're never going to get there. Just take those steps. And so that's what I really tell people. The other piece is, so many folks have conditioned themselves to look through this like, what if I could go back lens mindset, to me, that is really harmful. So many people go, if I could go back, I would do it different. They spend a lot of energy and time thinking about what they would do if they could live again. That is completely not going to happen. It is the most, it's like, if you're putting the time into that mindset, just put that time and energy then into how you can change from where you are to where you want to be for the rest of your life. If you're 85 years old and, in your deathbed or whatever, you're not going to look back and go, well, we get to go do-over now and do it again. I mean, that does not happen. So start living that you get to do this once, maximize it as much as you can. And that's, again, I think sometimes that sparks people into, maybe I really should take a step or work on things and figure it out. And in 6 weeks from now, I am going to do something different.
Now, is that a business that you have also on the side to help somebody like my brother or other people that are transitioning?
It's busy with the law firm. I'm getting ready to start some of that up. So I've been doing some coaching kind of on the side. I'm in a couple of groups where I just kind of get a window to speak with some folks. And so I'm basically in a large coaching group that then kind of says, if anybody in here can do some value adds, you can have the group to kind of get in front of. And so that's what I've been getting in front of that group with, and looking at how to spin it out and help either entrepreneurs or people who maybe want to become them in general, or some of this just like life change, like change literal that life stuff, as well as niche down to attorneys. There's a lot of attorneys who work in big firms or at other firms. They get some business and they kind of are just, well, this is what I've always done. And I'd love to help those folks kind of have the same path we did to create your own firm, get it up and running, learn faster. Again, if I could help somebody short circuit what we did in 5 years down to 2 or 3, that would be super awesome to see them pick up and get running faster. So it's all about just trying to help. I've had mentors and I've not had mentors. So if I can give that to somebody else, to me, that's the fun and special thing, is we're all where we're at because of somebody else. And at times it has been hard. And so just saying, if I can help somebody else or give them that little bit of feedback or put them on the right track, like that's what this is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do people get in touch with you if that's something, say they're in the attorney field or they're interested in working a little bit more with you?
Yeah. I'm most active on LinkedIn and Instagram, so I can get you those handles, show notes or something if you want. And then I just recently got a domain, andrewzimmer.com. And so I'm starting to build that website out. So that'll be up here in the next couple of weeks of just kind of different courses and offerings and ways to get in touch and like what kinds of packages and things we might be able to do for people to help. Because I know there's going to be some different levels of engagement people might want or ways they want to step in. So we'd like to be able to have different ways they could work, with me and, build a team over time.
Nice. That sounds great. Well, thank you for all your input. I think you made some really strong points of believe in yourself, go for what you want to go, where your life and your love is, and work hard and you can get there. And changing that mindset. I mean, that really is the bottom line, that we can do everything that we want to do. It's just having good people around us and focusing. So really appreciate your time today for coming on.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. It's, right, we're big RVers. That's not for everybody, right? And that's been a thing that we've added into our lifestyle. And so that, that's where this kind of matches up in things, but that's not for everybody. So it's not to convince them to, it's to find what it is that you want to do. What are those hobbies? What can you turn on and have fun? Maybe you want to go play guitar or play piano or just have more time with the kids. You want to get into landscaping. Well, build that into your life. It doesn't mean it has to be your job. I don't get paid to go RVing. I've just made sure that I've built my lifestyle and work such that I can go RV as much as we want to.
I love that. And I love that it really brings that balance, getting dirty and then putting on the corporate clothes or the law firm look and having that balance. And, that's really what life is about, is keeping that balance so you can have some fun and have your work being fun too. So it brings it back to who we are.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
We really appreciate Andrew taking the time with us, and he is an amazing individual. And I really admire young people like that are taking the big step. And I do want to apologize for the quality of that interview. We experimented with a new system, and that was told to us that it was going to be amazing. And I don't doubt that it is eventually, but for us it didn't work. And so we apologize for the quality of that audio, but we thought it was too valuable not to use anyway. Well,
in that interview, I suggest going and listening to it again. There were so many nuggets. Andrew, thank you for coming on and giving us your knowledge. It's so valuable. We look forward to having you on again. Those of you that want to reach him, it's Andrew, the name Andrew Zimmer, ZIHMER.com. I'll put it in the show notes too and ask him if he'll give us his other handles. And I mean, just having that life balance, you've done it really well. So good on you. We really appreciate your time and your wisdom.
So that about does it for this show, and we really appreciate all of you that chime in and comment and push the like button and the subscribe button. It's important to us. We're wanting to grow this, and you're the one that's going to make it grow for us and help us. So please join in. If there's something you'd like to talk to us about or for us to discuss, please comment and use YouTube to check in with us. That's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, and we'll send you your Frisky Biscuit Road Warrior sticker that you can put on your car. Remember, it's just static, so it does not have that sticky stuff.
We were actually at a fair last night and saw one on a car.
I know, that was really cool.
So until next time, this is Dr. G.
And Lisa.
Saying bye-bye, take care of yourself. We love all of you, and happy travels.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's good.